Hi everybody. This is a painting I'm going to do of a sunset, and it's basically for my grandchildren to watch Grammy painting and learn to paint if they want. Um, the angle that we have here is not going to be the best angle. I have ordered a better phone holder. Well, it's not necessarily better, but it has a bendable arm that we can put in the back and bring over and put on top, where it can have a view from the top. You can see it straight on better. The what do you call it? The tripod that I have right now doesn't work well for that. All right, but let's get started. Grandbabes, here's how Grammy paints. So first of all, let's start with putting on, talk about in some colors. So here I have, I'm using the Deco Art Americana Desert Turquoise. Can you see my pen? Yeah, okay. And then I'm using a deep midnight blue here. A lot of titanium white in the middle, and I'm using primary blue by Deco Art here. And I'm going to use one of my more scruffily brushes. It's been kind of used a lot. You can see I don't know if you can see the end. See how it's kind of fluffed out. It doesn't have a straight edge. So those are okay for using to put on the paint to the canvas and make the background. If you feel like your paints are drying out too quick, Grammy uses either just a plain water, no additives, baby white, or just a damp cloth works as well. I have this also that I use to spray my paints with to keep them wet while I'm working with them. And then, of course, I use this here with the water to wash my brushes. It has a coil in it so that you can run it across there and get all the paint off without, you don't want to jam your brush down in there. You just want to run it along the sides there so it doesn't mess your brush up. And then you pat it dry, and then you dip it in the paint again, and that gives the paint a little more water if it seems like it's too dry and lifting off of the palette. Okay, so we're going to put blue on here. And we'll put a white in the middle. We'll put that turquoise down here on the bottom for the water. Okay, so I'm putting on the white now. We're going to let it kind of blend some. Put on a lot of white. Here in the middle mostly. And then we're going to pick up with the same brush, because we don't mind if these mix a little, some of this turquoise color. Okay. And then we're going to kind of come back around here and lighten up the side with some of this turquoise and white. Kind of mix it in here. And we're going to come back down here. Some of this blue here. This. Okay. You see we have the white color in the middle, and we're just kind of bringing it up and around like this. You want that kind of variation there because it's going to look like clouds. Okay, let's take some more of this white. Bring it up here. So we're kind of bringing this down like this for the water to have a little bit different texture than the top. But then we're going to still kind of smooth it all together on the sides. Bring some of the dark blue up. Might bring some from here. Might pick up a little bit more if our brush seems kind of dry. As we wear off some of that dark blue I just picked up, you can see that the white and the lighter colors inside of the brush. We want to use all our paint, and the canvas is good about that. As long as we press our brush out on the sides when we're doing our backgrounds, we can get all that paint out, and we're not wasting any. And then your brush will like it too. Get all that paint out. You notice if you try to go over an area that's already drying with acrylic paints, sometimes it'll lift. If it starts lifting off the canvas like that, just go somewhere else to another part of the painting and paint. Don't let your paint keep lifting off, because then you'll have too many layers and it'll be obvious. Okay, guys. And then also I like to dip in the water if that happens and I'm working in the area, and then wipe my brush off. And then just to keep on going, I'm going to add a little more of this blue color in here. Kind of bring it up the side around here. And then I'm going to add a little more of the dark blue kind of down in here. Shadowing. And as that dark blue comes off, you're going to see that lighter blue in there, okay? Okay, I'm going to blend some more, added some more white. I dip in my water and add some more white. Start in the middle, and then I'm going to start bringing it up to kind of help blend the edges of the side of the painting here. And because this blue is kind of dry, again, I'm going to add a little water here. Let's bring this up and make sure, if you have to get close to your painting like Grammy does to see, that's definitely fine, because I want to make sure that it's not lifting off. So you'll see me picking up my painting here and there. So right now, Grammy is going back over and putting some of that mixture of the turquoise and the other blue kind of through here. And I went all the way to the edges of the canvas, everywhere, I think, and made sure that I got the paint covering everywhere on the edge of the canvas. From what I can see, it's kind of dark in here. I'm sorry about that. This lighting in this room is not the best. Actually, the lighting in any of these rooms is a little to be desired. Our builders didn't give us the best lighting, so, but we're so grateful for our home. We just need to do some upgrades. Anyway, so here we go. I mix this because the paint lifted here a little bit, so I'm going to kind of try to correct that. So after it dries, if you go back over with a mixture of colors, or even just the color you were trying to get there in the first place, it'll look better. Okay. And then we wanted this to kind of be a white streaking up here with a little mixture. In fact, it's on this ball that was supposed to be helping, but not really. Okay. Mix a little blue. To the edge here more. I'm just kind of softening up the edges some. I'm going to change seats. Grandma's trying to balance on her exercise ball for her back, but it doesn't seem to be doing what I thought it would for this particular exercise. Let's move that out of the way. And I'm going to move the camera back a bit. And then I'm going to move. It's Saturday, so I'm painting in this room because when Papa gets up, he likes to watch me paint too. So let's adjust the camera some. See how close we can get here. It needs to come up. Yeah, this tripod, like I said, guys, I apologize for it, but it's what we're working with today. Tomorrow, I should have a better one. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to kind of make my horizon, yeah, oh, maybe not that much, my horizon line for the water. So I'm going to pull down some, mostly white, but with a little of the blue mixed in here and there. That. And then get my white again, and then kind of even mixing on the palette and pull it down some. Some water on the brush. Turning the brush sideways like that. And then I'm going to blend it in. Give it some more water. Pat the water off. And I'm going to go back and kind of blend that. Softly. Find that dark color way at the bottom and get most of it off my brush, and then kind of wash it over those lines some, so they're not as obvious, but we do want them to be a little obvious because that's how we all know where we want to put our mountain and our sunrise. So once again, gonna go on the bottom. Gonna get most of it off the brush, and then I'm gonna kind of wash it through here. It's getting kind of dry, so I'm gonna wet my brush and pat it. Pick up some more of it, and kind of wash it. When I say wash, that means I've mixed a tiny bit of water. I put my brush in water, and then I pat it on my either a towel or a baby wipe. So I'm not covering up the strokes I brought down completely. I'm just kind of blending them a little bit. Okay. So a little more water. And I may turn this fan above off because it does seem to be drying out quick. A little more water, and then what I'm going to do is just pick up a tiny bit of white with a tiny bit of that dark color blue up there and not mix it too good, mostly white. And then see if I can kind of come in and start making some of these clouds. Okay. So let's work on that. That's more blue than I really want, so I'm going to wipe some of that off, and I'm going to pick up some more white. Okay, so I want the white to come barreling out of the middle. And then I'm just kind of going in like circular motions with my brush, kind of blending out some of those streaks there, here and there. Going round, making it kind of in round sections, like this, swirly rounds like clouds. Okay, I want to blend it real good, so over here. Grammy will pick up her painting and bring it closer to her. See if you can see, there you go. As I kind of softly blend some of these clouds. Just keep going back and forth with them. Grammy's thinking of picking up another brush to do this part. Actually, I'm not. I'm going to stick with this one. Don't want to get too much white in there, and so because I do have a picture I'm referring to, and trying to get as close as I can to it. Added a little more water just so it would give it a little more smoother around the edges. And not so many paintbrushes strokes showing around the edges, so it would blend a little better. There we go. So in here. Okay, and then over here I don't want to add too many, but I'm going to add some. Okay, Grammy has added in some more white paint, and while it's wet, I'm going to take a dry brush and kind of sweep those clouds up. This will give me a chance to add some really pretty colors to the clouds later. So I've added the white on top of the dry background of blue with a different paintbrush, and now, kind of a wet paintbrush, and now I'm taking a dry brush and just kind of smoothing out that those clouds into kind of a roundish shape. And I may even pick up a little more with the same brush, doing the same thing. Slow down if your brush is skipping and making random brush strokes. And you just keep smoothing, and then if it does start to dry, if that happens, get your little thing, take it and just blot it off. I don't know if you got to see me fix that, but so now I'll just go back, and it's a little bit too wet there. Grammy's gonna have to pull this close so she can see it. Okay. I think you guys can probably see just the edge. Put some blue in there too. It's time to load some more blue onto the palette, I think. And a lot of times when painters get in a hurry, they'll do this, and I don't necessarily recommend that you do this, but I squirt some paint directly straight onto the canvas. So just to drop, just like that. Especially when you're mostly just blending. It's okay. Okay, and then I'm gonna rinse my brush, grab some white, rinse your brush and then pat it out some. Grab some white, and let's see, so let's finish kind of making this, we need to, here we go. What seems to work best for me, if I have more paint loaded on one side of the brush than the other, and then it kind of floats, gives a floating effect, so it kind of gives like a highlight and a shading type effect, which I like. Not all painters use that method, but a lot do. I'm not a professional painter, by the way. I just learned from books and stuff. I did take a class many years ago, but it was just like a one-day class, and I learned a little bit. I learned most of my paintings from just reading how to do it in books and following the instructions in the books. I want to have enough white to add those pretty colors, but we don't want to cover up all of our blue either. Like those pretty sunset colors, like pinks and yellows and oranges and stuff like that. Okay. Can you see? Oh, can't see, huh? So the clouds are kind of going upwards. That's what we're working towards. We want our clouds to kind of go upwards, and I need to go ahead and spray my paints so they're getting dry. Spray them, and we may even have to add more paint in there, but let's use what we got, because we might not. So how much further do we want to go over here with clouds is the question. And we're going up. See how we're going up. Oh, you can't see that, can you? Sorry. Let's pick this up some. There you go. I don't like this tripod, but I promise it'll be better. Alright, so I'm adding on some more white. And you see how all the clouds are kind of going upward? Grammy's left-handed too, so it might be a little different for you. Okay. And these, the edges of them. Tapped a little water and then touched it off on my wet wipe. Alright, let's blend these up. Blend them up. Just use the edge of your brush, tip of it, or whatever. So there's some blue we picked up in there, and that's good. Alright. I think we're good. Okay. Okay. Let's take a look here. You can see here on the bottom we have still some streaks, but we kind of want to leave those there for now. We're going to cover them later. And then our clouds, I don't know if you can see them, up in the sky here. Are looking kind of like, yeah, I don't like this tripod. Kind of like that. Alright, now I'm going to go right in the middle of the page, of the canvas, with that turquoise, and I can put some more white on my brush as well. And poured some more white on my palette too. So I got the turquoise now and some white. I'm going to mix that together. Kind of want a little more turquoise than white, like maybe 3/4 worth of turquoise to the white. And then I'm going to go across and make like a horizon, like in the middle. This. Okay. Not too wide, but there we go. Okay, I'm going to kind of bring some of that turquoise blue after I get in some water and pat it off on my brush. I'm going to pick up some of that turquoise blue mixture I did with the white, and I am just going to take it off onto the end of my brush like that. Make sure, there you go. Do like this and make sure it gets down to the end of your brush. Dip it in there, and then we're going to go back and forth like this to make kind of some water streaks. Dip it again, back and forth, but this time you're going a lot skinnier towards the bottom. So it's wider this way, and then it gets skinnier, 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 skinnier. Even kind of comes out this way a little bit. Okay. Maybe some of this way, because Grammy's got some streaking going on there. Alright, so now we put in some water, and Grammy's going to go freshen up her coffee. Yeah, here we go. Well, Grammy's going to pack this off. I don't really like that, because it was supposed to stay skinny down here, right? Yeah, it was. That's okay. See, the more blending, the better, actually. Okay. Is that better?
I'm in Amsterdam, which is without a doubt the cannabis capital of the world. And that's because of the enormous...
Ignore that. That was a new commercial that came on. Okay.
Hey everybody, it's Cinnamon Kenny, your art
Okay.
and
Ladies, please. Did I say I wanted to play it? No. Okay, one moment. Okay, Grammy added some more blue to the edges, and because I'm going to try this this water thing one more time, because it's supposed to be kind of like, let's add more of the blue, not too much. It goes out and then it gets skinnier, got some blue and some white, but we don't want to press too hard like that, because we don't really want wide ones. We want to do it real soft, because we want to keep our brush skinny at the end. If we press too hard, the brush is going to open up, because we're doing it like this, like a chisel type. Okay, so just do it soft. Grammy doesn't paint a lot of background paintings in water, so this is new for her too, on this type of painting. This is my second one. I did one yesterday on paper. See, I'm doing it soft and not too hard so it won't get too thick. I just barely use the tip of the brush. And then I'm going to get smaller as we go along. Grammy tries to go fast like some of the videos that she watches, but I can't really. I have to slow down like this. So we're going to, if you get the hang of it, practice, you can kind of go a little faster like that. I still feel like there's too many lines there, but we're going to fix it. We'll cover it up, and because we have a lot more colors to add to the water. This is going to be a very colorful painting, if you will. So don't worry about that. I'm just going to add a few here and there, because we are going to color over them. I don't really like that one's kind of, you know what, I have a trick where I take a clean brush, and when so that's too wide, take a clean brush, it's kind of damp, and then go and remove, because it's still white, it's still wet, I can go take away some of that paint, see there, like that. And then, because that one's kind of crooked, I think it needs to be more straightened up. So I'm going to kind of move that one in and kind of blend it in some more. And do this and just kind of blend. If something don't look right while it's still wet, you can take a damp, clean brush and just blend it in. Because it's all the same colors that we used. So if we blend it in, like these down here, I don't really like them too much. So I'm going to wash my brush off again, blot it, and then kind of go in here. And these are almost dry, so they're not really wanting to come off that good, but if you scrub hard, you can get them off. Here we go. So we kind of got those off. I'm going to do that in between here with some of these, because I just feel like I have too many lines, you know what I mean? So I'm going to go over and blend through it some. There we go. Like that. There we go. This is where the sun's coming down, so we do want it a little bit brighter than the other areas. But I don't necessarily want those hard lines in there like that. if your brush like this doesn't work for hard lines and you just want a few, I think the better way for me to do that, you know, before I say that, I was going to say let's use a liner brush, but if you look at this brush, this is a more expensive brush, and when you look at the end of it, it is almost a little more flat at the end. So if we carefully use this, I think we can. If not, we would switch to what's called a liner brush, which I'll show you at some point too. So I'm going to wet this brush, tap it off, pick up some more paint, which needs to be sprayed because it's drying out. Now pick it up. And again, I'm going to attempt to put some lines in here. We don't want them to look deliberate. I thought the other ones looked just too deliberate. We want them to look more non-strategic, if you will. Like, I don't like that one. Don't like that one. So then that's when I would take my clean brush and rub it out some. Like that. And then go back and try it again with the chisel brush. Just make sure before you start you've wiped off the paint and made the point, you know, the end of it pointing like that. Okay. You're kind of looking at it from the wrong. Grammy's left-handed, so when I go this way with it, it does look a little more like what Grammy's trying to do. Okay, I'm going to stop at that. Not really going how I want there. Okay, Grammy's going to add a highlight of white into the middle of this water to make it look like the sunlight is coming down through it. And I think the best brush for me to use is going to be probably this one. Or maybe even this one. It feels a lot softer. I think I'm going to use the softer one. It's a flat, but it's been used quite a bit. It's a 15 flat. So it's... I think that's the one we're going to use. I'm going to spray my paint again with some water. This is going to be mostly white. So, 1 second. Okay, here we go. We're only going to go down to probably about this far. So, let's make a little mark there. Alright, so let's get quite a bit of brush on the quite a bit of paint on the tip of our brush, and then kind of blot just a little. And we're going to dot it kind of down like this. Okay. Then we're going to barely take the end of our brush, just barely touching it to there. And even that's kind of hard, but just barely, like a feather. Bring it out on that side, and then bring it out on this side, just barely, 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 touching it like a feather. Okay? And then, that was a little hard there. I want to blot that. I'm going to get me a wipe. So you want to work kind of fast before this dries. And I do want to do it this way a little, but I need to spray. It feels like it's drying already, so I'm going to spray my brush. And then kind of do a few out that way, like that. Come out a little more here. Alright, and then I'm gonna kind of smooth this. So I'm gonna spray my brush off, wipe it off, spray it, wipe it, spray it, wipe it, and then start kind of very lightly blending it while it's still wet. I'm going to add a little more white and a little more water, kind of like a wash. Then I'm going to wipe it off. Start in the middle, because I see some lifting that I don't like there in the middle. So I'm going to kind of blend that. And then kind of wipe the edges. Flick out the edges, if you will. To kind of just blend it. Go kind of round out here. So I'm going to kind of blend out some of the harshness of the paint strokes. Okay. I still feel like it's lifting in there in the middle some, but we have a lot of covering to do, so I'm not so concerned at this point. I think I may add a little more white into the middle like that. Flick it out. Kind of dry it where it's lifting. Kind of pat it in where it's lifting. Softly bring it out. Wider up here. And it's, to me, it's just lifting too much for my liking in the middle. So I'm gonna pat some more in the middle and just let it dry there. So I see a line. It's lifted in the middle and I don't like that. Alright. Alright, so it keeps lifting. We're going to come back to it and add some more later. If something keeps lifting, go away, like I said, and let it dry. So that's what we're going to do. And Grammy's going to make her another fresh pot of coffee. I think I hear Papa in there waking up. One more little streak of white. There we go. Alright, let's give this a break for a minute and put it on pause. So Grandma added a little more dark through here because I'm going to take this round brush right here, like a little scrubber brush, and put some white in it. But I'm going to use it to kind of remove some of the wet blue paint that I just also added to make. See, I'm going to scrub off some of that blue paint because it was white under there. So that's basically what I'm doing here, is scrubbing away that blue paint. You don't even really have to put white paint on because there was white underneath and the blue paint is still wet. So I'm scrubbing it off to make the moon, which makes a real soft effect. Not the moon, this is the sun, yeah. Okay, so, excuse me for misspeaking on that. So there's our sun, okay. Now, I'm going to make some mountains. I'm just going to draw a straight line using some black paint. I have permanent black and Payne's gray. I think we're going to use permanent black. The teacher uses Mars, the one that teaches me how to do this. She uses Mars black, but I don't have that. So I'm going to use permanent black. This is Master's Touch. This is a thicker one from Hobby Lobby. It's one of the off brands. And then I'm going to take one of my really nice flat brushes so it does make a good flat line across. It's going to be darker at the top and lighter at the bottom. So I'm going to pick up some black on the very tip, and then on the very, I'm going this way with it because I'm left-handed. So the tip of this slanted brush, can't see, will be at the bottom where I want it dark, and then the top, a teeny bit of white, okay? So if we want to see what that looks like before we put it on our palette, we can use this palette paper. It's kind of a waxy paper. You see how it's just a black and white line? I don't want it like that. I want it to be blended a little more, so we're going to blend it a little more, and that way it's going to be lighter on the top, darker on the bottom. And let's see if we can go straight across with one brush full and not have to reload. It looks like we might have to reload, go back and forth. So let's reload the same thing off this paper. Okay. May have to go back and forth. Even pick up some more paint. I'm going to spray my brush. And I'm going to pick up